Hello students, I am Toton Ghosh. I am an English tutor. I live at BARDHAMAN in West Bengal. If you want to contact me, you can contact me through this email ID totonghoshacademy@gmail.com. totonghoshacademy@gmail.com. Are you looking for a competitive English teacher? So you can contact me through this email ID. I give special focus on English grammar and writing skill. So now let's get to the topic. I am going to discuss a famous poem, The Village Blacksmith, written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. At first, I'll introduce the poem to all of you. Next, I will say something about the poet. Next, I'll summarize the poem and then theme. And at last, I'll discuss the poem line by line and paraphrase it. Now, let me introduce the poem. The Village Blacksmith is a poem by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, first published in 1840. The poem describes a local blacksmith and his day life. The blacksmith serves as a role model who balances his job with the role he plays with his family and community. Years after its publication, a tree mentioned in the poem was cut down and part of it was made into an armchair, which was then presented to Longfellow by local school children. To say something about the poet, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. He was an American poet and educator who was a famous figure in America during the 19th century. By the time of the 1850s, he gained fame and his poems became famous worldwide. He is known for his romantic imagery poems and the dual meaning behind them. He can see through the very mundane of the activities and connect them with the truth of life. His all poems have some connection of ordinary things. Here you will get the utmost benefits of the poem, such as summary, analysis, theme, title, and paraphrase of the poem. Now let me recite the first stanza of the poem. Next I will paraphrase it. Then I'll go to the other topics which I mentioned before. Under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. The smith, a mighty man is he, with large and sinewy hands, and the muscles of his brawny arms are stronger as iron bands. Here, under a spreading chestnut tree, the village smithy stands. These lines mean what you are seeing in the lines. The poet talks about a person, the blacksmith, of course, who is strong and he is standing under the chestnut tree. Mighty means strong man. His hands, with large and sinewy hands, means his hands are stronger than usual, and the muscles of his brawny arms are strong as iron bands. Means his hands are stronger than usual, and the poet uses a simile to compare his hands to iron bands in the last line. Now I will recite the second stanza of the poem. His hair is crisp and black and long. His face is like the tan. His brow is wet with honest sweat. He earns whatever he can and looks the whole world in the face, for he owes not any man. In the second stanza, Longfellow gives us a further description of the person. He tells us that the blacksmith has long, black and crisp hair. The next thing is his face, which is tan. Tan means brownish. After the first two lines, the next four lines are very important with respect to the meanings and connotations. The blacksmith's brow is wet with honest sweat, and he earns only what he can. The poet is hinting at the honesty and satisfaction of the blacksmith. He does not borrow from anyone because he earns as per his capacity and does not demand more. He is not greedy, and a person who does not owe to anyone can live a life happy and glee. The expression looks the whole world in the face means to tell the readers that a person who is honest, not greedy, and does not borrow unnecessarily can be equal with everyone in the terms of treatment. He won't need to flatter someone. Now I will move to the third stanza of the poem. Week in and week out, from morn till night, you can hear his bellows blow. You can hear him swing his heavy sledge with measured beat and slow, like a sexton ringing the village bell when the evening sun is low. These lines are all praise for the blacksmith's labor that he does from the morning to the evening until the sun sets. The sound of his sledge sound like the village bell. A person can always hear his bellows. The setup bellows means the setup to heat the iron, to be able to forge it. And this goes on every day. In the fourth stanza, let me recite the fourth stanza of the poem. And children coming home from school look in at the open door. They love to see the flaming forge and hear the bellows roar and catch the burning sparks that fly like chaff from a threshing floor. In this stanza, Longfellow tells the readers about the school children who, out of curiosity and admiration, love to see the blacksmith's work through the door which remains open. Children love to see the bellows which produce sounds like roaring. Children also love to see the sparks which keep flying and produce a scene like the flying husk during the threshing procedure. Now let me recite the fifth stanza of the poem. He goes on Sunday to the church and sits among his boys. He hears the parson pray and preach. He hears his daughter's voice singing in the village choir, and it makes his heart rejoice. In this stanza, the poet is relaxed, and he is telling us about the soft side in the heart of the strong blacksmith who goes to attend church every Sunday with his family. The blacksmith hears carefully the preacher's message. He listens to the prayer with joy and also loves to listen to his daughter's voice, who plays in the village choir. And all this Sunday episode, the poet says, makes the blacksmith happy and satisfied. In the sixth stanza, it sounds to him like her mother's voice, singing in paradise. He must think of her once more, how in the grave she lies. And with his hard, rough hand he wipes a tear out of his eyes. In the stanza, the poet continues the stanza from where he left off in the last one. Longfellow tells us that the blacksmith feels that the voice of his daughter is just like her mother, his wife, who has died. As if she is singing in the heaven, the blacksmith thinks about his wife in the grave, and tears flow out of his eyes. He wipes the tears with his hard and rough hands. In these lines, the poet seems to suggest that the outlook of the blacksmith is hardened, but he owns a soft heart which has emotions. Next stanza, truly rejoicing, sorrowing, onward through life he goes. Each morning sees some task begin. Each evening sees it close. Something attempted, something done, has earned a night's repose. This stanza and the last one after it are very important. As I told earlier, Longfellow is a person who is a poet as well as a preacher, who always tends to tell us the right path to go ahead. The blacksmith becomes his vehicle in this poem to tell us what should be the structure of a happy and satisfied life. The blacksmith spends his life working hard, being happy and being sad at times. He keeps moving ahead in his life, as each morning he starts something new and ends it with the evening. Every day he works and every night he rests peacefully. The hard work he does in the morning gives him a sleep of calm at night. The blacksmith to the poet is an idle person. Thanks. Now let me recite the next stanza of the poem. Thanks to thee, my worthy friend, for the lesson thou hast taught. Thus at the flaming forge of life, our fortunes must be wrought. Thus on its sounding anvil shaped, each burning deed and thought. And this is the last stanza of the poem, which by all means is the most important one. The poet thanks the blacksmith for the lesson that he has taught to the poet, and then the poet taught to the readers. Longfellow tells that we should also learn the lesson of hard work from the village blacksmith, and never shy away from determination and labor, which will eventually build our fortunes. This world is just like the anvil on which we have to shape our deeds and thoughts to make ourselves a better person day by day. Now, I will say about the conclusion of the poem. The poem The Village Blacksmith is a beautiful, purposeful, insightful and meaningful poem. It tells us about the life of a blacksmith who becomes the metaphor for a purposeful life. We must learn from him his hard work and satisfaction. We can always make our lives happy. We can always make ourselves stronger.